Good morning. This is a tutorial all about how to get yourself ready when you feel like shit. Your boss says, hey, can you come in a little bit early? And you're like, sure, why not? Let's get ready. I'm priming my skin with some e.l.f. Aqua Primer Mist. That thing sprays like a can of Raid, but my God, do I need all the hydration I can get. Next up, we're going into our Touch in Soul No Pore-blem Pore Reducing whatever primer, which is like the only pore reducing primer I can use that doesn't dry my skin out like some sort of desiccated mummy corpse thing. And next up, we're going to venture into dangerous territory here. This is a new blending sponge I just picked up. It's from Eco Tools. It's kind of cute. And this part I did speed up. I tried to keep the editing in this video to a minimum so you can really see in real time the amount of blending and whatever I do to my face. Because I feel like a lot of other makeup tutorials, they kind of speed through a lot of stuff, but I do want you guys to be able to see just how much time it takes me to get ready in the morning when I do give a shit. So I've got my Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer in one here, and my strategy is to do a bunch of dots all over my face on all those little dark spots that I do have. I just kind of throw some on the bridge of my nose, but then I do all those dots on all the uneven skin tone moments all over my face. And here we are in dangerous territory with this newfangled beauty sponge from Eco Tools. I'm mostly using it to just kind of press the foundation into my skin. I'm not really blending at this point. I'm taking all that coverage and just pressing it in. And then it's a foundation and concealer in one, so why the hell not? I'm adding a little bit to my eyelids, and I'm using it as a concealer under my eyes as well. I'll probably go back in and set that with some pressed powder in a little bit, but right now I'm just trying to cover my entire face and even out all of that blotchiness and unevenness that you can see. And this part does take a while, so I did speed this up just a little bit. I'm also trying to get that red thing on my neck. What happened is I had an allergic reaction to some kind of skincare, and it just kind of freaked out, and no matter what I'm doing, it just will not go away. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but right now we're just going to cover that with makeup. Ugh, that sponge. Next, priming the eyelids with our Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. I am just using the original one here. What I do is I take the doe foot and I do kind of spread it all over my eyelid, but then I'll go right back in with a finger and try to get the whole thing patted down and ready to go for that eyeshadow. And next up, I'm going into the Naked Reloaded palette, and I am taking the shade Bribe, I believe it's called Bribe, and I'm just taking it like on a flat eyeshadow brush. This one's from Eco Tools, and we are just going to take that white eyeshadow and go all over the eyelid with that. As you can see, I'm building up a couple coats. I just really want to have a good kind of almost my skin tone, but just a little bit lighter base layer so that I can blend these eyeshadows. With the Naked palette formula, I just find that with these neutrals the way that they are, that seems to be the best strategy for blending out those colors. Next, I am taking a fluffy brush and dipping into the shade. We're getting the palette here. It's called Blur. If you can hear that in the background, that is my cat demanding more food. And so I'm taking Blur. She should not be having any more food. She's kind of on this weight gain trend right now, and we're really trying not to encourage that. Anyways, so I'm taking Blur on kind of a very large brush because I want this to be pretty blown out. You can see Blur isn't really much darker than the shade we set our eyes with, and that's why I'm using that. Then I'm taking the second darkest from the right shade. I don't know, the second largest one. It looks like bamboozled from here, but I know that that's definitely not correct. But anyways, I'm just building up the color to the intensity that I want. And then I'm working it in with a little Estee Lauder, I think that's the number 20 brush from Estee Lauder, the eyeshadow blender brush. And I'm just concentrating it ever so slightly smaller in the socket, but definitely still using it like a transition shade, just a slightly tighter transition shade, if you know what I mean. And next we're going to go in with the shade Blur once again, just to really make it kind of seamless. I just want to go right back in with that color and go over the bamboozled shade. It's not called bamboozled, but you get my drift. Next, we're going to go in with some Taylor Swift realness here. This is Endgame. I'm just using a eyeshadow shader brush to basically stamp on an outer V to my eye that way. And we're doing the same thing on this side, obviously. But again, I'm just pressing it on and pressing it on, creating like a new outer V shape for my eye so that I can then go back and blend it out later. And I'm going back in with that bamboozled shade. It's not called bamboozled, I'm so sorry. The slightly warm brown shade, second from the right in the palette, to then blend out that outer V that we've just created. And we're going back in with that big fluffy Eco Tools brush and the Blur shade, just to make everything really seamless again. This is not a cut crease or anything. This is a bit more of like a daytime type of smoky eye. So I want everything to be really flawlessly blended out and really kind of smoky and not super precise, if you get my drift. Just patting my concealer back in, I guess, there. And next, what I'm going to be doing is applying some glitter primer from NYX, which I use in lieu of like wetting my brush to make a metallic shade more vivid. This is just what I prefer. And I'm patting that all over kind of the inner third center of my lid. And I'm loading up the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in Twitter Painted, getting a pretty good amount, and then just packing that on the lid with my fingers. It's kind of like a pretty rose gold glitter. And just doing that, of course, on the other side as well. I'm packing it on right now, and I'm just concentrating on the packing, and then I'm going to kind of diffuse the edge with a brush in just a little bit. So I'm not really setting my concealer with powder. I'm just taking a translucent powder from the Naked Skin Shapeshifter palette from Urban Decay. And I'm just running that translucent powder under my eyes just to keep that under eye area from creasing too much. Next, I'm taking this angled brush from Real Techniques and just taking the lighter contour shade in that kit around the perimeter of my face. So I'm just taking it really lightly under the cheekbone, under the jawline, and then around my hairline. And then I'm taking the deeper contour shade, just again with the short bristled part of an angled brush, and I'm only putting this under the jawline. I'm not taking this around the perimeter of the face. It's just going to make the depth we're adding to our face a little bit more realistic. Just taking some of that translucent powder and doing the area right between the contour and where I put it on my jawline, as well as setting the creasing that's already happening on my forehead. Next, I am taking the little fan brush from that EcoTools set, and I am adding just a very small natural amount of highlight to the tops of my cheekbones only. I'm not taking it through the T-zone because, I don't know, I just kind of hate that look. So we're not doing that today. We're not participating. And this lipstick is the ColourPop Ultra Matte Lip in Times Square, which is like the perfect pinky nude. I love these. They're like, what, $6? You really can't go wrong there. And I'm just applying it. There really isn't an exact science or, in my opinion, a good way to like precisely do it. And then we've got some Busy Gal brows from Tarte, which was a new product for me. You can actually see that I'm a little bit shook by how well this seems to fill in my brow. I'm using the black brown shade because I do want my eyebrows to match. You know, we want the same energy for my brows and my hair. Next, we're lining the eyes. So I'm not doing a wing, I'm just doing it straight across. So I actually start with the little point of the felt tip on the inside, and then I draw my way out, which is exactly the opposite of the way I make my winged liner. And these are the Feather Luxe lashes in this shade, not shade, it's not a shade, it's a style. The style is Nicki. You can see in real time that yes, putting on a fake lash does require some adjusting and kind of playing with it. I have better luck actually when I put mascara on first and then add the lash. I should have done that, but I didn't. And, you know, you can always make that happen. As you can see, I have long-ass stiletto nails right now, as well as these tweezers. And they're kind of like a built-in lash adjusting tool. Anyways, I'm using the velour lash glue, which I like as well, because I don't have to wait for it to get tacky like a latex glue. It's latex free and it does dry down to a tackiness a lot faster than like a duo glue. So I'm kind of loving that, and it's also one of those brush on ones, so you don't have to like squirt out a little bit and drag it through your little glue pile, like, you know. Anyways, it was a struggle, and I'm just really glad that they have things like brush on lash glue now that we're in the 21st century and doing things in a more modern way. Anyways, that's a tangent on a tangent on a tangent. Next up, we are going ahead and going back in with the palette. We just needed something along that lower lash line, you know, same energy again. Lately, I've been feeling like kind of an alien if I don't do my lower lid in a way that kind of matches what's going on the upper lid. I used to leave it and I'd be like, oh, it's very Parisian, but like, you know what? Now that I'm not like an artist with Lancôme anymore, I'm just gonna smoke out that lower lash line, because like that is the way of my people, and my people smoke out their lower lash line. So anyways, enjoy this performance art piece that this little tangent has devolved into. And this is Angel Fire from the palette. To smoke out my lower lash line before I just went off into that weird, like, diatribe, I used Endgame and a little bit of that Bamboozled, but it's not Bamboozled shade. And Angel Fire is the inner corner highlight that I'm doing here. And this is the Colossal Big Shot Mascara from I'm using it at this point to kind of mold, that's a gross word, to blend my fake and real lashes together. I've really enjoyed this mascara. I got it a couple of days ago and I've been playing with it and I really like it. So that's kind of great because you always need that like $7.99 alternative to those $30 mascaras. And I am setting everything in place with the Lancôme Fix It Forget It setting spray. I actually love the whole Life Proof collection that came out with this whole thing. Definite recommend. Wow, is my hair a thin, flat disappointment after I took those cat ears off. I'm just trying to make it happen. Anyways, bye!